Welcome. I'm Lee Cowan, and this is Here Comes the Sun, a closer look at some of the people, places, and things we bring you every weekend on Sunday morning. Irish actors Colin Farrell and Gleeson are more than just screen co-stars in their film Banshees of Inisherin, about a rocky friendship. And as Tracy Smith learned, they're also real friends in real life.
What about you clicked?
I don't know, it was just easy. The first time I met him was in a room at the Chelsea Hotel. I had recently put the jar down, right? I was sober about a year and a half or something like that. And he knew that. Anyway, he said, will you have a drink? And I for a second I went, and he said, I have some, and he went to a minibar that looked like it hadn't worked since the 50s, and he opened it up and he pulled out 2 bottles of water and he went, I have Stiller Sparkling. And I just, in that moment, I swear to God, it's the sweetest thing. Did I ever tell you that?
Later in the show, Farrell and Gleeson on working with writer-director Martin McDonagh on their 2008 caper, In Bruges.
In Bruges, some of the funniest lines are delivered by you, and it's all very straight. Can you talk about a little bit more about process in those situations? Is it difficult to keep a straight face?
No. What's difficult is to give, when you get a Martin McDonagh script, you laugh out loud. That's guaranteed. You will laugh out loud. And it's one of the best experiences you will ever have in your life, particularly if there's a part being offered to you. When you come to do it, though, because it's based in a kind of reality that is undeniable and usually has more than a sniff of tragedy about it.
Then Rocca, on a 10-year-old girl who embarked on a 1983 diplomacy tour after writing to a Soviet Union leader expressing her fears of a nuclear war.
During their 2-week trip, Samantha became one of the Cold War's most improbable peace ambassadors.
Will you please tell me the feeling of a girl whose dream is coming true? What do you feel now?
I can't explain it. It's just terrific.
In the Soviet Union, Samantha Smith was a superstar.
That's all coming up right here on Here Comes the Sun. Since their auspicious meeting in a hotel room years ago, a pretty close friendship has developed between Irish actors Colin Farrell and Gleeson. Tracy Smith has their story.
To put it simply, Colin Farrell and Gleeson are peas in a Hollywood pod. They're both accomplished actors, both Irish, and both are part of a great on-screen duo that falls somewhere between Butch and Sundance and Thelma and Louise. Both men were at the Golden Globe, where Farrell won Best Actor for a musical or comedy.
Brendan, I love you so much. I love you so much.
It's been busy for the pair since their latest film became a worldwide sensation.
Colin's sonny Larry. Didn't you and he used to be the best of friends?
We're still the best of friends.
No, you're not.
Who says we're not? Sit somewhere else.
The Banshees of Inisherin is about 2 men on a windswept Irish island whose friendship is coming apart.
If I've done something to you, just tell me what I've done to you.
When you didn't do anything to me, I just don't like you no more.
You liked me yesterday.
Their lives are deeply intertwined, but Banshees is not a buddy film any more than Titanic is about a pleasure cruise. Their breakup is both hilarious and heartrending.
Well, anyways, I just wanted to say I was sorry. We leave it at that.
Why can't you just leave me alone, Patrick?
Huh?
I've already told you, haven't I?
Yeah, I know, I was just...
Why can't you just leave me alone?
I'm curious with the process. Did you have a discussion about maybe we shouldn't speak to each other throughout this film?
We touched on it. I was a bit nervous about that.
Why?
Yeah. Just because I love the man, and I was nervous about, Jesus, are we going to have to give each other space? And then when we saw each other for the first time in a couple of years to start this, we just said, do you need a bit of, are we going to do a little, and we looked at each other and we went, no, don't need it, don't need it.
For 2 weeks, in Bruges, in a room like this, with you? No way.
Farrell and Gleeson have what looks like an easy chemistry that comes across on screen.
If I'd grown up on a farm, Bruges might impress me, but I didn't, so it doesn't.
Their first project together as hitmen in 2008's In Bruges got rave reviews. Of course, they're a lot more than a duo. The 67-year-old Gleeson, a former teacher who only started acting full-time at age 34, has played roles as diverse as Mad Eye Moody in the Harry Potter series.
Hello. Complain?
A cook in Paddington 2.
Oh, no, I wouldn't say complain.
Oh, that's a shame, because I just love it when people complain.
And himself as a sketch comedy host.
I'm Brendan Gleeson. If you don't recognize the accent, I'm Irish.
Gonna have a blast hosting SNL.
Brendan, you did SNL reluctantly. You did Saturday Night Live.
Yes,
you're
I did.
great.
I did, yeah.
Colin talked you into it?
Well, he did and he didn't. Like, he said, look, do what you want, but here's my take on it.
Yeah.
And I would take that seriously. Look, I like clowning around, don't get me wrong. There's a thrill about it. It's a kind of a white knuckle ride, so I really did. So thanks for that, Colin.
Yeah, man.
Colin Farrell has been doing this a bit longer, doing everything from fighting Tom Cruise to playing the Penguin in makeup that almost completely obscured his leading man looks. But as different as their careers and their lives have been, they were friends from the jump.
What about you clicked?
I don't know, it was just easy. The first time I met him was in a room at the Chelsea Hotel. I had recently put the jar down, right? I was sober about 1.5 years or something like that. And he opened the door, I went into the room, we sat down, and I know that this man had like a pint every now and then, and I certainly had a reputation, and the reputation was now that I was recently sober. He knew that. Anyway, he said, will you have a drink? And I for a second I went, and he said, I have some, and he went to a mini bar that looked like it hadn't worked since the 50s, and he opened it up and he pulled out 2 bottles of water and he went, I have Stella Sparkling. And I just, in that moment, I swear to God, it's the sweetest thing. Did I ever tell you that? I mean, you were there, of course. Did I ever tell you that I noticed? Did I ever? Anyway, in that moment, the simplicity of that gesture told me there's a man that'll look after you. There's a man that'll take care of you. There's a man that considers people.
I just have this tremendous sense of time slipping away in me, Pádraig. And I think I need to spend the time I've left thinking and composing and just trying not to listen to any more of the dull things that you have to say for yourself, but I'm sorry about it. I am like.
And at the risk of getting all mushy here, Brendan Gleeson told us he feels the same, and that Farrell's a true gentleman. The kind of guy who helps ladies in long dresses up the stairs at award shows.
Well, just generally with the people around him, obviously with his children, with me, with Jennifer Coolidge walking upstairs.
And that was a cheap shot. That was only to get closer. That was more about me than about her. Let's be honest.
There was a duality about that, because I knew, I said, look at the maggot.
I didn't know there was a fan there. I was accused of elbowing some man out of the way. Oh, stop.
No, but that's who you are. Actually, that is the gent that you are. And I've known a lot of kind men in my life. I've been lucky about that. You know, my father was a kind man. And I knew kind friends who were there for you. I don't find it odd, but I knew immediately with him. So that's why the friendship lasted, because he's somebody who considers people to an extraordinary degree.
Only because I'm one of them. There's no escaping that. There's no escaping that. Only because I'm a person.
Let's just call it quits.
We won't call it quits. We'll call it the start. People have said to me that Banshees just floored them, just took them days, and they've been a bit haunted by it.
What do you think when people say that to you, that Banshees
it's very humbling.
Me?
It's very, because I've done plenty of things that people haven't connected to. You don't always go to work and create stuff that people connect to, and it's not a science. If we knew how to get it right every time, every film would work on every level. It would work for the audience, it would work for the critics, and it would work commercially. And that's magic, that's money in the bank, you know, and you can't expect that all the time, but the fact that it's arrived on this one is fairly cool. So this is a very sweet time, and I get to see him, get to spend time with Kerry and Martin that we wouldn't otherwise. So in that way, that's the kind of window I climb through to enjoy this whole experience, rather than taking it too serious, you know.
Instead of focusing on the horse race or who's nominated for what and all of that.
Exactly, just to be sharing it with the other lads and whoever is around, and the films and the filmmakers. I still get giddy about the whole thing anyway, do you know what I mean? Do I need it? No, but is it a bit of crack? Yeah. It's a moment in time, and then move on.
Up next, an exclusive excerpt from Farrell and Gleeson's chat. Content you can only see right here on CBS News Streaming. Stay with us.
Something that can cross the generations. I wouldn't be.
As promised, here's more from Tracy Smith's conversation with actors Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson.
There's so much pain in your face in some of these scenes. It says everything. Where is that coming from?
I don't know. There's so much pain in the world. I mean, not to be too convenient with that answer, but there's so much pain in the world, and human beings are, by and large, I believe, an empathetic species. By and large.
Well, you're very particular anyway, in the sense you don't put a huge amount of walls up, though, Colin. So you're going to be open then. Like it was one of the things again that come back to it, that you consciously lower the walls and keep lowering them because everybody wants to build them up for themselves to protect what's precious, and you consistently lower them down, saying, "No, I'm going to let people in."
Right.
So I do think you had an insight into a certain amount of, pain that would have been visited upon you over because you're refusing to close up. And there was a certain crossing of the line there, I would have thought, in terms of Pádraig, where he was open to it. It's like, you want to have a go, like, there it is. So
thank God I have the bricks and the mortar to my side.
Do you
know what I mean? Unlike Pádraig. So when I need to have the old bit of the wall, and I hear everything you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, when I need to have a bit of a wall or a bit of a thing, I can build it up really fast or tear it down just as quick. The cement never sets fully. But because when you move through this world, you need to learn how to protect yourself. And at 46, I'm still doing that, of course. But the world is a very painful place, like it really is. You know, there was a time 10 years ago, a bit more maybe, where if I was doing something that was maybe dark or painful in a film, I'd think of personal stuff that was dark or painful. I don't really need to do that so much anymore, which is a blessing. I don't need to, and it felt kind of, for me, it felt a bit cheap and a bit dirty back then. But I just think we all have uncried tears as well. We all have so many moments in our lives where we haven't been able to express the emotion that we've been feeling for whatever multitude of reasons. So you're kind of, there's wells of pain.
Great statement.
That you can access.
Wells of pain within us all.
In Bruges, some of the funniest lines are delivered by you, and it's all very straight. Can you talk about a little bit more about process in those situations? Is it difficult to keep a straight face?
No. What's difficult is to give, when you get a Martin McDonagh script, you laugh out loud. That's guaranteed. You will laugh out loud. And it's one of the best experiences you will ever have in your life, particularly if there's a part being offered to you. When you come to do it, though, because it's based in a kind of reality that is undeniable and usually has more than a sniff of tragedy about it, you have to wave goodbye to the humour. You have to, you're aware of the ludicrous nature of it. And the way he plays with the language, people don't talk exactly like that at home. Even at home, people, never did. But every so often, people will come up with a phrase. And Martin distills this down into something else. And you get to say this beautiful rhythmic sort of mad stuff. And you understand, but you can't betray it. The gag is for the others now. You get it in the read. And then you have to wave goodbye to it. Not entirely. Like there were times in rehearsal particularly where we'd laugh a lot.
Yeah, totally.
And it might be,
That's one of the powerful things about the rehearsal as well. It gives you the opportunity to get inured to the more comedic aspects.
Oh, that's great. So you get all the laughs out of
Yeah,
the
because
rehearsal.
it's going to be there.
Remember Aaron Monaghan came in? He was the guy, the one with the guy with the bread van. The guy, he tells us he was knocked down by a bread van. I don't think I laughed as much for a week.
He was brilliant.
I don't think I laughed as much, honestly.
What do you want to leave behind?
Good pictures. I think it is part of what I like about movies is that there's an element of something that can cross the generations. I wouldn't be averse to that. I'd love that Banshees is being looked at, in 30 years' time and might feel very archaic or might feel very, but you'd hope that there's truth in it that continues. So that I'd like that.
I'm all right with that as well.
And then obviously I feel, I have 4 lads that I just
same that
astoundedly proud of and glad are in the world and bring beauty to the world. So that to me is plenty legacy. Thanks very much.
That's it as well, yeah. 2 extraordinary sons, which are the kind of cornerstones with which my life very much revolves around. And they're my great legacy, and what I'd like to leave is 2, happy and connected young men, and that's the way they are already, so I just stay out of their way.
Looking good.
Yeah, looking good, pal. And the other stuff lovely as well, the films and all that jazz. Like when I heard that the New World, as I said, was going to the Criterion Collection, that tickled me.
Love that.
Tickled me.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Up next, America's diminutive diplomat. We'll explain. Welcome back. 10-year-old Samantha Smith became the most unlikely Cold War ambassador simply by writing a letter. Well, Rocca has the story of how a young girl became a worldwide sensation and a symbol for worldwide peace.
The Soviet Union does believe that a nuclear war is possible, is survivable, and is winnable by them.
In 1982, at one of the frostiest moments in the Cold War, a 5th-grade girl from Manchester, Maine, named Samantha Smith, wrote a letter to Soviet Union leader Yuri Andropov. "I have been worrying about Russia and the United States getting into a nuclear war," she wrote. "Are you going to vote to have a war or not? If you aren't, please tell me how you are going to help not have a war. P.S. Please write back."
It's a little bit hard to understand on the news because they put it in grown-up words.
When Andropov did write back, it made national news.
The letter, postmarked Moscow, arrived today by registered mail. It was sent to Manchester, Maine.
Samantha went on Nightline with Ted Koppel.
Samantha, you've got quite a pen pal there. What did he write to you?
Well, I asked him, why do you want to conquer the world? And he wrote back to me and said that he wanted nothing of the kind.
In his letter, Andropov invited Samantha and her parents to visit the Soviet Union.
The Soviets continued treating 11-year-old Samantha Smith almost as if she were a visiting head of state.
During their 2-week trip, Samantha became one of the Cold War's most improbable peace ambassadors.
Will you please tell me the feeling of a girl whose dream is coming true? What do you feel now?
I can't explain it. It's just terrific.
In the Soviet Union, Samantha Smith was a superstar.
She also had a camera. She had a Polaroid camera.
Lori Labar is curator of the Maine State Museum in Augusta.
There's a couple pictures here where you just see there's photographers everywhere.
And here she is taking a picture of all the people taking pictures at her.
Why the Kremlin invited Samantha to the USSR was a matter of speculation.
That was one of the concerns that people had in the United States about her going, was that she was going to be a tool of the Soviets, a propaganda dupe. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I don't think anybody was prepared for Samantha, frankly, because she was guileless. I think that just enchanted everybody.
At Camp Artek in Crimea, Samantha was welcomed by thousands of Soviet kids, few of whom had ever even met an American. In a camp tradition, she threw a bottle with a message of peace into the Black Sea.
There's a wonderful cartoon that Don Wright did. And so here are the warheads. And there's this girl just lightly leaping from warhead to warhead, which I thought was a fabulous encapsulation of her whole trip.
Back home in Maine, Samantha was greeted with a parade.
She put us on the map nationwide.
You know what Bolshoi means, really?
Great.
And charmed Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show.
Yeah, great or big. That's all it means.
You said you didn't know any Russian.
No, I didn't. I knew what it meant.
This is a picture of her at this school. It kind of looks the same, doesn't it? I think we still have some of these desks, don't you?
Today at Manchester Elementary, the very school Samantha went to 40 years ago, students learn about her peace mission.
She communicated with love and kindness, and she made the world a better place.
Makes me feel like even kids at my age can make a big world change.
Samantha, I call her Sam.
Jessica Dwyer was Samantha's classmate and a close friend.
I think she still wanted to be a normal 11-year-old girl.
Dwyer says Samantha never bragged about what a big deal she'd become. Except for that time she made a guest appearance on the sitcom Charles in Charge.
Hey! Hey, hey!
Hi, Charles.
Oh, she did
Why?
share that because of Scott Baio. Of course. I mean, my only request was that she bring back his autograph. And she did.
Sadly, Samantha Smith's life ended only 2 years after her trip to the Soviet Union. In 1985, heading home from filming a TV series, the small plane she and her father were in crashed, killing all 8 on board. She was 13 years old.
How did your 13-year-old brain even process that she had died?
It took me a long time to accept it. And I'll share this. I haven't shared it with very many people. I always thought that she and her dad escaped the plane and were in a tree, living this great life. And I think that was just my way of keeping her memory alive.
Today there's a statue of Samantha in Augusta, a monument to the girl nicknamed America's Littlest Diplomat.
I'm Lee Cowan. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here next time on Here Comes the Sun.